So if you can go back, yep, there we go. So good morning, everyone who is joining us live. Good morning, afternoon, or evening to everyone who is joining us on the recording. We are so excited to have you here for our Heartland Institute of Financial Education's College Coaching Program webinar. And I'm so bored. Really, it's that age-old question of what did you do this summer? But it's going to really turn into what did you do during quarantine. So we have two of our very fabulous coaches on here. Coach Tom Dury is on and Coach Tracy McKinley is on as well. So very excited to have them taking the lead. We are going to be sharing some slides with you. Have your phones out because there's probably some of these that you may want to take pictures of because it's got some good links and things like that on it. So and at the end, you know, if you want us to send you what some of those links were, or if you had any questions on that, you can certainly put that in the chat. We will be hosting a Q&A at the end. So feel free to put your questions in the chat line. I'll do my best to get that throughout the program here, or we'll be doing that live at the end as well. So without further ado, I will let the coaches take over. And if for some reason, folks, if for some reason I drop out and you can keep going, that would be awesome. Keep going and I will jump back in. Hopefully that works. If it does drop out and it drops the whole webinar, which I don't think it will do, know that I will come back as soon as possible. So just jump back in with that same link. So everybody and their mother, brother, sister, and grandparents are using Zoom right now. So it tends to overload that system. So I think that's all the housekeeping. So Tom and Tracy, there you go. Take it away.
Well, thank you, Megan. And then thank you guys for joining as well. I am seeing Jennifer and Kevin. I'm not sure who the third person is on the screen. You may or may not choose to introduce yourself. So I'm one of the coaches with Heartland, and so today it's a very interesting topic. I think a lot of us, especially students, might be going through a lot of uncertainty, and then what used to be structured activities at school now has become very much like self-driven. If you don't, if your school does not offer online lessons, if you only get notes from your teachers, then it becomes very challenging to try to structure your daily activities. Did someone say something? I'm sorry. Okay, and then for those who have, if your school offers online lessons still, then you sort of still have some structure in your daily activities. So this is very challenging for the students, for parents, because you still have to try to, if you still need to do your work, and then also care for your children or other family members. So welcome to the session. So the focus of a webinar includes the following: how you're going to spend your time, and then we also have some wonderful tips about what to do during the quarantine time. And then the third one is self-care. And then the last one is how HIFA can help you. If you have any questions, you can jump in anytime, or you can type in the chat to let us know and we can address. I think this one, so the first one is a balance between work and play. Tom, do you want to take it away?
Sure. Hi, hello everyone. My name's Tom, and I'm one of the coaches as well. So I'm glad to chat with you and just kind of present some interesting information in as Tracy mentioned, a very uncertain and unusual time for us. So one of the challenges that students face when their time is not structured is how do they balance the time between work and play? It's very simple for students to, in fact, for any of us, to get online and spend our entire time doing something and kind of get lost in it. And we almost lose track of time, and things just seem to get away from us. So it's very important that students learn how to balance work and play. They have to find out what works for them. How much time do they need to spend on schoolwork? How do they organize their schoolwork so they get all of their work done and yet not feel overly stressed? How are students spending their free time? One of the things that parents are finding out, I expect now, is that students have a lot more free time than they do when they're in school the entire day. So how much time are students spending just on free time, and what are they doing with that time? And time shouldn't be, time spent working shouldn't significantly overwhelm the time, free time, nor vice versa. Should free time overwhelm the time spent working? So it's important that students learn to organize, to manage their time. And one of the things I would recommend is to each day, each evening, in fact, before the next day, is to write out a list, a schedule, if you will, of what you want to do the next day. What do you need to get done? What would you like to get done? And then you can categorize or classify those based on priorities. Which are things that absolutely must be done? What are things that can be put off? But to be conscious of what you need to do and to allot a certain amount of time to do that. One of the things that I find I am especially guilty of is I overschedule. I always underestimate the amount of time that it's going to take to do something, the amount of time it's going to take to get somewhere. And so I have to be very careful, very conscientious when I do my schedule each day, because it's very simple for me to overwhelm myself. And then at the end of the day, instead of feeling like I've accomplished a lot of things, I feel like, there's so much I didn't get done, that I should have or wanted to or whatever. So be realistic when you make that schedule, but make a schedule each day of the things that you need to do, the things that you want to do. Balance the time you spend on work and the time you spend on play.
Yeah, and also want to add another point on the balance between work and play. I think Coach Tom gave a wonderful tip on not overscheduling, and also plan ahead for next day, or you can plan for the coming days. Another thing is that if it's easy to feel if every day your schedule remains the same. It's gonna get very boring very quickly. So one trick maybe for you to practice is to try to focus on the outcome or your goals, of the activities, instead of fix the time to do, English or math or science, and they don't change much from day to day. If you focus on the outcome, maybe you can do something for a period of time, and then you take some break, and then you come back for it, and then you can work as long as you need on that project, and to ensure that you reach your goals by the end of the day. So that way, your schedule does not look very boring. They don't look very, much fixed from day to day. And also, another thing is to maybe try to break up your whole chunks of time into smaller breaks in between, so that you can focus more for your next task. Okay, so the online learning, okay.
Yeah. One of the things about this particular time period that has changed radically is the way education is being presented. With the schools being closed, obviously most schools have gone to online classes, online learning. And so that's a new experience for a lot of high school students, particularly. College students, maybe not so much. They have a little bit more in the online course offerings, but For high school students, it's kind of a new way of approaching education. And so there's several things that you need to be aware of. First of all, understand that this is new for you, that this is going to be a challenge for you because it's something, as I say, a new way of being presented. Secondly, you have to understand that this is also new for most high school teachers. They haven't taught online, and they were kind of caught off guard. This came up very, very suddenly, and they didn't have a lot of time to prepare. And, you know, if a teacher is used to teaching in class and then all of a sudden they're asked to switch to teaching online, it's going to require a lot of changes on their part. And so there may be things that they have not done the way that they would have in class. There are things that they may have overlooked, things that they are still kind of working through. So be patient with them as well, as do the work that you can. It's important to be present. And what that means is when you're working in your class, on your class material, you need to be there. You need to pay attention. It's real simple to minimize one screen and pull up another screen and do something else when you should be concentrating on your first screen. You should be concentrating on the reason you're there. So be present, pay attention, in the same way that if you're in class in school, you know, we suggest you sit up toward the front of the class, that you engage with the teacher, that you ask questions, be involved in the educational process. That's going to help a lot. Ask questions, obviously. Just because you're not in class doesn't mean that all of a sudden everything becomes clear. Hopefully the content of the course, the course material isn't overwhelmed by the technology, but you want to focus on the material. You want to ask questions. You want to make sure that you're learning. It's going to be important when you get finished, or when all this is over and you're back into classes and everything, you're still going to be expected to have learned the material that was presented in class. So if you're in an algebra class, an algebra 2 class, you're going to have to know that algebra 2 material before you move on to the next math class. So it's going to be important that you focus, that you pay attention, and that you make it a point to learn the material that's being presented. Another question that comes up, and this is a really good one. This is important regardless of whether you're taking classes in class or online or whatever, but when you are asked to do research on a particular topic, a book, a subject, anything, what resources are you using for research? What sites do you go to online for research? And this is something that will be critical when you get into a college, and even now as you're in high school. You're going to be asked that question on essays and in interviews and what have you. When you do research, the two primary, what do they call those? The suffixes on the websites. You want to use sites that are labeled as edu, which is educational websites, or websites that are org, organization websites. You want to use professional websites whenever you're doing research of any sort. Colleges are great sources for information. Museums are excellent resources for information. Government agencies are excellent resources for information, but you want to make sure that the sites that you use for your research are sites where the writers, the participants are professionals who are qualified, and that's going to become important. You probably want to stay away from things like Wikipedia for your research, simply because pretty much anybody can go in there and modify that site and add things and what have you. There's no check on that. There's no guarantees that the information you're going to find there is going to be accurate or correct. So yeah, be sure that when you're using using websites for research, you're using educational websites, organizational websites, professional sites.
one thing, can I add to that? This is Megan. To add to everything that Coach Tom just said, is that this is also an opportunity when you're doing that research, and maybe this is research outside, in addition to writing papers and being able to cite that, but when you're trying to figure out, and they're gonna get into a little bit of like how to be creative and how to follow your passions and develop that. That's also a little bit of what we're asking you to think about here as well, is how are you finding out more about, you know, X, Y, and Z. I have a second grader, so very different from all of you, but he has found this YouTube channel called The Bright Side of Life. And it's all of this different information, right, that he's finding out. So he's telling me all the time, Mom, did you know this about the sun? Or do you know this about turtles, right? You're probably going to do some more pointed research than my 8-year-old. But when you're thinking about that, how can you get creative in addition to your educational research? How are you following your passion and doing some of that? So think about that in addition to it. And they're going to talk more about that creativity, but wanted to jump in on that. So thank you both for letting me interrupt.
No problems. That's a wonderful tip. And I was also going to mention that depends on your local communities. And so in my community, the libraries have, you know, they have stepped up a lot, and they are offering a lot of online resources for students and families to do, you know, to explore reading or to take on research projects, or if they want to, you know, use their database. And then sometimes if you are affiliated with community colleges or any colleges, and they also open up their online library, so you can have access and use their resources too for your research projects. Okay, we're gonna move on to the next one. Regarding this, I think this can be for all grades, but especially for juniors or sophomores if you want to get a head start. So this is a good time for you to, still a good time for you to do your research of the colleges and universities that you want to apply to. And then even though the campuses are closed, many colleges and universities still offer virtual tours. And so you can see that there, I was going to mention that one site is called Campus Tours, and they offer, you know, about like virtual tours of about 600 campuses. You can, you know, that's one way you can still feel engaged with your college and university search. And the other one is called the eCampus Tours. And then this is a bigger one. And also UVisit. So these are really great tools for exploring campuses during quarantine time. You cannot, you know, all the trips are canceled, all the campuses are closed. You cannot go there physically, but you can still explore, you know, by yourself or with your parents, with your family, so that you can go over, you know, different aspects of your criteria of college and university selection. The other one is make sure if you're a junior in particular, you do need to think about creating I would recommend creating a spreadsheet to list the colleges and universities that you want to, or you're considering you want to apply to, and in very much details about their test scores, requirements, or the range of their current the range of test scores of their current students. And deadlines are very, very important. Maybe you already know, you know, some of the bigger universities, you already know their deadlines. Those probably will not change. The smaller ones, you want to be more, you know, you just want to fill in as many details as possible so that you can keep good track of your application when the time comes. And then additional information about the college, university, or program that you are interested in. And maybe the so I would, so in the, I'm imagining this spreadsheet, you could also put in the location, the student body, how big it is, and student makeup, student body makeup, test scores, the kind of apps that they would accept. Is it common app, correlation app, or some other app, universal app, etc. And then language requirements if you are an international student, and the major information, program information. I'm sure there may be other criteria you want to use in selecting your colleges and universities, but make sure that they are listed on the spreadsheet, and then there's a way for you to keep good track of your progress.
Okay, one of the things that students can do during this time is to keep themselves busy learning. When they, students, if they start to feel bored, they start to feel like there's really not much to do, and they spend a lot of time watching television, playing games, on the phone, and so on and so forth. They may find that there's some real benefit to doing something productive or more productive with their time. And here's some suggestions that they might look at. They can take online classes. There are a number of colleges that offer classes to students at no cost. They're not going to get college credit for them. They won't get high school, but they will have the material they can go through. And so Megan had mentioned earlier that just studying, learning, researching about things that you're interested in, with a little more time on your hands, this is going to give you an ideal opportunity to begin exploring some things, to learn about things that you're interested in, learn about things that you think you might be interested in, get a deeper understanding of various subjects and what have you. And so there are, as I say, a number of online classes that you can get involved in, particularly if you're into science. The MIT Full STEAM program for science, technology, engineering, and math. The MIT offers also free-line courses for high schoolers in all sorts of subjects, a lot of humanities courses, a lot of social science courses. So things like literature, history, political science, philosophy, and so on. And those are wonderful opportunities to get involved and to learn, to continue learning. There are also college courses from Ivy League schools. And the Khan Academy, we recommend regularly to students for ACT or SAT preparation. And they have a daily schedule of school closures and some good courses, good classes that students can use to bolster their skills and so on. In addition to that, there are virtual tours, topic-specific opportunities with various museums. Almost every museum of significance will have a virtual tour, will have the opportunity or the ways that you can explore the exhibits that they have available. And they offer a lot of explanatory information, educational information to go along with that. So I would say that if it's not like something that a student has to sit down and make a point to do, an hour every day. But if there's just something they're interested in, they should go to the website and start looking and, just take the time to explore, to learn, and to expand their horizons and expand their knowledge. This is a great time to be doing that. Some excellent sources.
And also to add on that, also check out your local community colleges, because sometimes as a high school students, you can still, I think typically like 16 or older, you can possibly sign up for their summer courses if you are thinking of summer activities, and given a lot of the activities, camps, programs may be canceled, you could consider a long online way of learning new knowledge and skills that way. All right, so this one, volunteering can be probably for all grade levels, but probably more for 9th and 11th grade students. So you could, I think, two great resources to use. You can use Volunteer Match. This is one of the sites that we recommend to students. And if you check on that site, they actually do have like online volunteer opportunities. So these are typically like if you are open to helping seniors, or you want to help the like nursing homes, and if you want to maybe learn something at an organization during summertime, and they open to like online version of doing it, this will be good to explore. The other one is Volunteer Connector. So that also is a very great resource for finding out volunteer opportunities. On top of these, I would also recommend that there are maybe local organizations that are looking for volunteers. I think just the other day, I've heard students are being they are looking at opportunities to help out, take count of help out monitoring families that have been contracted, and then during quarantine time. So maybe that is one way that your student, or if you are the student, can help out in the community.
If I can jump in here real quick.
Sure.
One of the things that a lot of people are worried about, obviously, is going out and being out in the public. And so students ask, what can we do from home? And that's a real challenge. There's the Volunteer Connector, Volunteer Match have some good ideas, but among the things that they recommended and kind of the top volunteer opportunities, as Tracy mentioned, nursing homes, assisted living facilities. Some of them have, because of the restricted visitation opportunities at those facilities, some of them have adopted or have initiated and adopt a grandparent program where somebody calls in, they want to volunteer to help, and so they will be assigned to a particular resident of that facility. And then what they do is they contact that person regularly. They call, they can send cards and what have you, and just kind of keep in touch with the people and let them know what's, that they're being remembered, that they're being thought of, and so on. Writing letters and cards for emergency services people, for the hospital workers and stuff, and sending those off, is another opportunity that students can participate in from home. The other thing I would recommend is if a student is looking for volunteer opportunities and they find something, check with their school service clubs. See if there's anything going on through those service clubs that they might be able to participate in. And then lastly, if you find a volunteer opportunity, find something, that enlist your friends to volunteer along with you. That'll go a long way toward, when you start applying for college and they ask what you did. If you can show that, I did this and got people to work with me and what have you, that's going to be significant, going to be an important thing when you start applying to colleges. So.
Yeah, that's a great idea. So if you, in addition to the ones that are offered or that your communities are asking, you can always start something new. And then starting something new with your classmates or with your friends in the neighborhood, that would also be a great use of your time. And then it's something that you can write about in your college essays as well, or you can put that on your resume later on.
Okay, this one we've actually talked a little bit about this before, but this is again part of what do I do now that I've got this extra time on my hands? If I'm not engaged in school constantly, it gives you an opportunity to do things that you may not have had time to do otherwise when your schedule was filled up with class time and with homework and with after school activities and so on. Be creative with your time, and particularly think about things you'd like to learn about, you'd like to do, or you'd like to wish you had time to do when you were in school and so on. What do you want to learn more about? What kind of creative pursuits can you focus your attention on? I've talked to a number of people, parents, students, family, friends, what have you. And some of them are, boy, this is awesome. I'm getting time to spend on learning a new language or to learn about this obscure subject that I've never really been able to prioritize it or justify it. But now that I've got this time, I can spend time thinking about it and learning about it. So yeah, think about the creative pursuits where you can spend more time. And as we mentioned before, what are your go-to websites for outside learning? Where are you getting the knowledge, the information, the substance of what you're learning? Some ideas, things that you can look at. Learning a new language, deepen your current language study skills. Learning about the arts. Learning about music, athletic profiles, museum tours, STEM or STEAM, the science, technology, education, and math, all different topics, but really anything that you want to learn about. This is kind of an ideal time to do that, to have some free time to concentrate, to focus on that. One of the other things that I would add here that sometimes almost gets lost in the shuffle, and this will be critical again once you start into college, is spend time reading, reading books. And they don't have to be textbooks. Obviously, you've got to read for your classes, whatever material that you have to read there. But again, this gives you time. So find books, read books on topics of interest, on anything that you'd like to, things that you may not have time for when you're involved in classwork.
And also, if you if you're a student, and that applies to any grade levels, you have a Cooter account, and then within Cooter, there's a place where you can create your e-portfolio. So it's just a reminder that there are you have the tools at your hand that you can use, and then for those who are interested in arts, some sort of performing arts or visual arts, or if you are interested in architecture or filmmaking, maybe this could be a great opportunity for you to take on, creating or putting together your portfolio, and then which typically would be you need to make that online to submit to the colleges. So that's just another idea, especially if you are a sophomore or junior. All right, so practice adulting. So depends on your interests, your level of maturity. Maybe this will be a great time for you to think about what else you can do around the house. And so maybe you want to, there's something, a recipe that you have always wanted to learn how to cook, and you can ask your parent if your parent is very good at some cooking, and then help out the day-to-day errands that your parents would otherwise have to do on their own, and you can help out house chores, laundry, ironing, or budgeting. That's a great thing if you're interested in numbers and you're good at planning. You want to explore business or financing. So this is take on some small things that you can do to expand your skills and your knowledge. Or if you are even more ambitious, you can even plan something for your family or to go out. And so I know it depends on the state, your region. There have been more and more talks about reopening, and then maybe you have heard news about activities that you can do, many outdoor activities that you can do. So typically, as a family, you can do things together. Maybe you need to wear face masks or you need to take some precaution, but there are outdoor activities you can take on. And take a walk around the neighborhood with your family. Great time to bond with your family, talk about issues that you would otherwise not be able to talk about when you guys were like before quarantine time, when you were all busy with your own things. All right, so summer. So I think we touched upon some of the summer activities already. So it is really, really challenging because a lot of things that maybe you were planning to do, they're getting canceled, or you don't know if they're happening or not, or you're trying to, or they're trying to convert these activities to online. So for example, that my daughter was planning to do some summer, filmmaking, take some filmmaking course, but we still don't know if that's or how that's going to happen. Probably not going to happen. But there are things that you can still do. So if you are a junior, summer would be a great time to prepare for your tests, whether that's PSAT, or if you want to prepare for your SAT, ACT. All these tests they are getting rescheduled. There are new test days added. So it, in addition to your academics, which would be like your number one priority when it comes to college application, you do want to have really good grades for status. But on top of that, your test scores also matter a lot. If you can really focus on preparing for the test during summertime, that's a great use of your summer. For juniors, if you can also try to get other things ready for your college application, like your college shortlist or your resume, or you even look at Common App prompts or Coalition App prompts. Think about how you want to write about, what topics you're going to write about. You may not necessarily need to finish your draft yet. Too early might not be a good idea, but sometime in August, will be a good time to start drafting your essays. Look at what other supplemental essays that you need to work on as well. So that's just some other ideas. If you are freshman, sophomore, you probably have more. You have more time at your hands. You can plan on other, learning something new, learning a language or learning a new course, and probably online, and learning a new skill. So those would be great use of your summer time.
I can jump in once again on the internships. As we talked about, a lot of the businesses are starting to reopen slowly, and we don't know what exactly is going to happen. But one of the things that I think might be worth exploring, if you're a senior or a college student in particular, although juniors could do the same thing, a lot of businesses, because of all that's happened, they have lost lots of money. It's going to take them a while to kind of regroup. As they're starting to do that, they may be more than willing to bring on people who are volunteering to help them out. If they don't have to necessarily pay a salary, they might be able to find a place for you, or they might have extra work that they need to get done in order to kind of catch up or to get back on track. So don't overlook the possibility of internship, of volunteer opportunities over the summer. as things begin to open up. And obviously that'll all depend on your location and on all kinds of other factors. But that's something that to consider as well.
Yeah, if you go to some of the internship sites, there are actually internships that you could possibly do online. So check out additional resources on internships as well. So like internships.com, that's one of the sites.
Record what you're doing, what you're feeling, and so on and so forth. This is, and I think everybody has agreed that this is an historic time. We have never been through an event like this, a situation like this. And hopefully we won't again. But, you know, the last pandemic that the historians refer to frequently is in the Spanish flu back in the early 1900s, 1917, 18. So this is an historic time. And students, although parents could do the same thing as well. I think it's important to keep track, to keep a journal or something, some way, record how you're feeling, how all this has affected you, what kind of things you're experiencing, what are you doing, what are you not doing. That particular question is going to be an important question for years to come. For college applicants, for job applicants, for all kinds of people. And just, you know, talk around the water cooler at work, you know, what did you do? How did you get through this? And everybody's going to have a story to tell. Everybody's going to have something that they, that was important to them, is important to them. So keep track of it, record it somehow, journal, do a video record, maybe do an art project, some sort of musical production, something to keep track and to keep a record. So down the road, 50, 100, 200 years from now, people will be able to look back at what you've done and say, wow, they did a remarkable thing. They went through a remarkable period of time, and they behaved remarkably, and they survived, and we have all this information about what it was, what they did, what they went through, and that's very important. I think will be critical in many different ways over the years.
Yeah, you know, this is a very trying time, and it is such times that we often say that that your true characters will be shown. So, you know, think about, so everybody feels very stressed and feels very anxious, and then we're just trying to make it through, you know, without any healthy issues, without any big financial troubles, or you know, getting ourselves into deeper problems. At the same time, maybe try to get, you know, think outside the box and try to think about what are the things that you can do for other people. Maybe those are very small things, but small gestures also mean a lot to those who really need them. You show kindness to your neighbors, or, you know, you try to do something, say something nice, to be positive to your family members. So little things that you can do to help others get through such difficult times. This is one way that you can build your character, you can show your maturity. And I really encourage, if you're students, and, you know, try to think about what others need, what you can do for other people. You know, in addition to making sure that that you are also, like, mentally, physically, psychologically, you're healthy, you feel connected, you feel supported. So we want to help one another to get through such a difficult time. So that's how you can show your true character. All right, which brings up self-care. This is something that probably we tend to forget. Self-care is, you know, is probably step one of thinking about what we can do to get through such a difficult time. If you don't have good health, if you don't feel positive or balanced mentally, it's going to be very hard for you to care for anybody else. So maybe you need to start, think about your diet. If you eat healthy, if you do some activities that will keep you energized, that would make you feel very positive afterward. Usually, after good workout, a walk around the neighborhood, you feel like, it's a different mindset. You try to do something, you change your work environment or study environment. It does something to you mentally. And then also, even though we're physically distant from other people, meaning like non-family members, there are still ways that you can try to connect with your peers, with your neighbors. Try to do those things. Maybe it's about like getting on next door or setting up some virtual meetups, so that you feel that you can still do things. And then together to, that way you feel connected, you feel healthy, positive, that, you're not in this alone. There are lots of other students that are going through the same thing. I think it really helps a lot to know that you're not the only one. And also try not to overwork yourself. Maybe you have too much, much more time at your hands, but it is also important to have a balanced rest and work schedule. Ensure that you have plenty of rest before your next day. And I think that's what I have on the self-care. Tom, do you have anything else to add?
No, I think that's about it. It's just really important to establish that balance and to, like you say, the diet and the rest and get some exercise, get outside, to minimize the screen time when possible. It's very, excuse me, it's very easy, as I say, to get caught up watching, looking at the computer, spending way too much time doing that. So make time to get out and do something, get your rest, get your balance. Yeah, absolutely.
And we are, just to jump in really quickly, what that last note is that we are doing a specific webinar from the college coaching program next Monday. I'm going to look at my notes to get it right, but next Monday, the 12th at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So let me see if I can do it right. 6 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 p.m. Central Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. So we are going into more depth on this and what it looks like, what the social emotional effect of quarantine has been and may continue to be. So that's being put on by a couple of our really great coaches who are involved in that as well. So just another resource that's coming up in addition to what Coach Tracy and Coach Tom have shared with you already.
Yeah, Megan, that should be on Tuesday the 12th.
Tuesday the 12th? Yes.
Right. Right.
You're absolutely right. It's Tuesday the 12th. Today is Monday. I'm having trouble with my calendar lately, folks, but that date is correct. Tuesday the 12th. Thank you for that.
Sure.
Okay, I think this is probably me, which is I think they're looking at me. So for those of you who are on here and are a member of our program already, we have a couple of new options and one that's actually not even on here right now. We just added it. And for people who are joining us and are looking at different ways that the college coaching program can help, obviously we have our full comprehensive program, which is a year-long support for students. It's designed for anyone who's in the middle of 8th grade, so January of their 8th grade year, on up through college. You get access to a college planning coach, monthly recommendations, webinars such as this, those types of things. We have come out with some new options. You can see on there, we have 4 that are listed, and we have 1/5 one that's not on this slide because we just added it last week. So we have a career assessment and guidance, financial aid navigation, college selection and admission guidance, application and essay review, and then the additional one that you don't see on your screen is a post-high school planning piece of that. And so that's really designed for students who are maybe in college or taking that gap year and just trying to figure out what that next step is. So all of these options are at $649, which is significantly reduced price. It does also come with a significantly reduced amount of time that you're working with the coach. But again, we want to better meet the needs of our clients, of our consultants, of our families. This may be something that's going to fit a very specific need. So if you have questions about that, you can reach out to us. We'll give you our contact information, I believe, on the next slide, so you can reach out to us. And that last one that you are seeing there is a one-time short-term consultations only for juniors and seniors. This is really to help maybe navigate some difficulties that may be coming up around the quarantine, COVID-19, coronavirus, all of the above, pieces that are really affecting maybe how you are looking at college, what to do next, maybe a financial aid need piece. But this is really more of a consultation, 1 hour with a coach. So we have lots of different options that are available to people to make sure that they are getting what they need, as always, but specifically during this time when things are unprecedented and everyone is learning as they're going. And so we are doing our very best to keep on top of that. We want to make sure that that is passed on to the folks that we are working with. So that is what that slide is all about. Oh, and this is more information on that. So this is what you would do. You know, you put together a program and then you walk away from it and you forget what the next slide is. So what you're going to want to probably do, if you're interested in this, take a picture of this with your phone. You can also find all of this information on this. You can see at the bottom here, this collegecoaching.org is our new website. So all of this information is on there as well. So these are our options. It goes into a little bit more detail. And if you have any questions for us, our contact information is going to be on one of these next slides. And you can contact us through collegecoaching.org as well. And that is it for our, we're going to get out for the questions and answers. But again, you may want to take a picture of this. This is the best email to get to us. It'll come in through a central area and it'll get sent out to the right staff member. But hyphecpp@usa.org. That is probably going to be right now the most reliable way to get some information from us. Not that we are unreliable, but much like everyone else, we are not in the office. So we've had some challenges with our phones. You can call and leave a message on that 303-597-0197 number. It'll take about 24 hours for us to get back to you for it to get routed through. So it's a little bit more convoluted than any of us would like. But you can also find us at our new website, www.collegecoaching.org, and you can like us on Facebook at Haifa College Coaching Program, all one word. So definitely check us out there for that. Before we get into questions and answers, I just want to give a great big thank you to Coach Tom and Coach Tracy for taking the lead on this and doing this today. It's such an important topic for our students, and so I definitely appreciate all of your wisdom that you've been able to share and all of that. So thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Yeah. So we did have one question that came in on the chat. And Tracy, I'll follow up with you because it was the links for the online tours. Somebody had wanted that. So if you want to send that to me, if you have that in a list, if you can send that to me in an email, I'll get it out. Kevin had a question about that. We want to make sure we get him that. And we can continue to share that. I think we've seen that shared. You're welcome. See that shared with our coaches as well. But to make sure that we can include that with this, that would be great.
Okay, yeah, I'll definitely follow up on the links.
Yeah, Jennifer, go ahead.
So in April, there was like $100 sale for the full college coaching thing. Is that still going on? Has that been extended, or did it?
It has been extended. It's actually a $200 discount.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah, I know. Even better. Don't you like when you're like, actually, it's more money that you can
I know, right? Until
and so, yes, that does actually go through the end of May, whatever that day would be, the last day of May, May 30th, 31st, I don't know.
Oh, awesome.
Yes.
I really appreciate this webinar.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Great.
I'll be looking forward to attending the other ones.
Well, we are looking forward to having you. Absolutely.
All right. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you for joining. Megan, I'm not able to see the chat, so it's just some technical issue on my end.
Okay.
Do you see anything else that we can help answer?
No, we don't have anything right now. I think you guys did such a great job at explaining it. Nobody has any questions, which is fantastic. So
You guys are being too kind.
It's
not
very
at all.
straightforward. So
Great.
simply put,
Thank you all.
So, thank you.
Well, thank you for all for attending.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you as well. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We wish everyone luck. We're going to sign off here. We'll wish everyone luck. Kevin, we will get you that information a little bit later today. If for some reason you don't see that information, shoot us an email really quickly over at hypecpp@usa.org, and we will get that to you. Thank you all so very much. Thank you again to Coach Tom and to Coach Tracy for being a part of today's program. And we wish you all, as always, we wish you a lot of luck, but certainly most recently, we wish you a lot of health and safety as well. So thank you all very much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Megan.